everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. Last week, we completed the Glover U Sales System. Today, we will be talking to Christina Griffin on how to accomplish literally anything. We will learn from Christina how to stay focused throughout the dark times. Now, let's hear from Jeff Glover and Christina Griffin.
How to overcome literally anything. And the reason why I titled it that, because two reasons. Number one, I had met Christina probably about a year and a half ago or so now when you were first introduced to the mastermind that we're a part of. And then, of course, we had a couple conversations. We had a cocktail at a hotel in Austin and didn't get anywhere near as deep into the conversation as what a lot of us might have heard on stage most recently with Gary Keller. So that was the first thought I wanted to share. And then the second reason why, or the second thought I had on that is, after hearing your story and getting to know you a little bit better and spending some more time with you, I think that there's a lot of things that you went through that some people are going through currently or have gone through in the past, or just, if you haven't gone through it, might have to go through it at some point in time. And there's a lot of lessons in your story and a lot of things that we can learn. Not necessarily, we're not going to talk a lot about the nuts and bolts right now. We'll get into that a little bit. Obviously, that's what I'm doing when I'm sharing with you our system, but more so how to apply that and how to overcome things when things get in your way. So you're here for a reason, so I'm going to let you take it away. Why don't you just start off by telling us who you are, where you're from, and share with us your history.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I have to tell you, this is my second time seeing snow, so it's been quite interesting so far. I'm from sunny Tampa, Florida. I am a mother of three, awesome husband, and I have a team of over 87 agents and 7 administrative staff. It didn't start that way. So Jeff has, I'm going to go back in time when I tell you about my story and the things that I've gone through. And what I'll tell you is just know that regardless of anything that you're going through, I've been through so much, and you go through times and points in your life where you, literally, it's like an up and down roller coaster. You know, I've been angry at God more times than I can imagine, but when you get to that right place inside here, you know how to overcome it and really get through just about anything. So our team sold this year. It was our first year joining KW. I was with Coldwell Banker for over 10 years, and we were one of their top 10 agents in the country there. And our combined numbers this year from Coldwell and Keller are about 500 units. So I have really big goals this year that we're going to achieve. So, do you want me to just dive in?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
This is your show.
All
I'm
right.
just here to drink water.
Okay, so I'll start at the beginning, and it's going back in time 30 years.
Please.
When I was 9, my mom was 36 years old and was diagnosed with cancer. It was actually the same cancer I went through a few years ago, and I was abused by an uncle when my mom was going through the entire cancer process. Kept my mouth shut because I felt like it was something that would be a burden to her because of everything that she was going through. And I didn't know better. And obviously about 10 years later, I told my father. My mom died when I was 9 years old. She was 36 years old and died of terminal cancer. And my dad, who was an amazing man, business owner, my mom did everything. So at that point in time, my dad had to learn how to raise 2 young girls. And was a roller coaster. I won't go in detail now, but my dad became an amazing father, and I graduated high school when I was 18, and 3 months later, he died in a boating accident, an airboat. The airboat he flipped, and it flipped, and he died instantly. So at that point in time, I went from kid going full-time into college, had full scholarships, to I had to take custody of my sister. I had to make that option at that point in time. She was 16 years old. Do I let her go live with family, or do I take custody and take control of her and be a parent? So.
And how old were you at that point?
I was 18.
You were
I
18.
just turned 19.
And she was 16.
And she was 16. So I immediately went straight into real estate. My first job was managing a 650-unit apartment complex, and oddly had never any desire for real estate. My mom was a broker for Century 21. However, I was going a different path, and my ex-husband said to me, hey, why don't you go into real estate like your mom, since you're going to take care of your sister? And I'm like, okay. And that was my path into real estate and how it started. And what I'll tell you, though, is I immediately excelled in the field, but it's because I had a why. I was 18 years old, and I had to take care of my 16-year-old sister. And from buying her a car to making sure her college, everything was planned because my parents didn't plan. And my first year in real estate, after I managed the 650-unit apartment complex and did a full lease up and renovation, that was in 1 year. My first year in real estate, I sold a little less than 100 homes. It was the time frame where anyone could get a mortgage. It was the first-time home buyer, stated income, stated asset, and I specialized in first-time home buyers and investors at that point in time.
And by the way, you did that. You know why you did that, right? Why you sold that many homes.
Yes, because of my why.
You had to.
Yes, I had to.
So even though your why was forced, you know, what I would take away from that, if I'm in the audience listening, the why has to be so close to forced, if not, in your case, it was forced,
yes,
in order for you to take that massive action. Otherwise, the basics of sticking to a schedule and role-playing and all that stuff is just not going to happen.
Yes.
Because you have a choice. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a choice.
No. And not having a choice put me into massive action quickly. I specialized in investors. I got really great at finding really great deals in down payment assistance programs, and I did it in a big way. I was that realtor that rented a bus and filled it with investors and went in toward foreclosure properties and became that expert at 20 years old, teaching them how to buy and sell real estate. And so I was with a small company. At that point in time, I got married at 19 years old, around that time frame, and immediately became a mom. So 2 small kids, a little girl and a little boy, and still had that big why. It just was different. So it completely propelled me into building my business, but it was in the investor world. So we were flipping several hundred homes a year. And through all of the stress, I took stress differently. I ate a lot. It was fast food, poor metabolism, not exercising, and I got up to 385 pounds. So I was in my early 20s and decided at that point in time, as my career excelled and I started opening my mind to bigger thinkers and seeing that I needed to feel better about myself, I lost over 100 pounds through medical weight loss, not the surgery at that point in time, but about 100 pounds. Still hadn't worked out. It was just changing eating and getting into a lifestyle program. My ex-husband and I grew apart. I changed my life, and we just completely grew apart at that point in time, and we married very young. Needless to say, we had a very bad divorce. I decided that I would never say anything negative about him to my 2 children, and I still haven't to this day. So the reason I'm telling you that is the bad divorce, still maintaining my business, was still making over $100,000 a year, and decided I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to get fit. Walked into a Gold's Gym and I said, I want the best trainer you have. In walks my future husband. So I got fit. I lost about another 50 pounds.
Saved a lot of money on fitness.
I did until I married him, and then he stopped training me. So I got fit, was in the best shape I've ever been, went from about 100 to about 250,000 a year. The way I felt reflected in my business. I was speaking at every investor seminar, teaching other investors how to buy, sell, and sell real estate, and I felt great about myself. My future husband, and I decided to move in. Out shopping for furniture 3 days later, he got a call that he was reactivated, reserved from his reserve status, and had to go to the front lines. So a year of him being in Iraq, again, I had to figure out what it was like to be single with 2 small kids and still making 6 figures and being able to take care of them, daycare, just be a mom and be all things to them because he was gone and my ex-husband really wasn't in the picture.
And so how did your health sacrifice then at that point?
Yes, I gained about 40 more pounds that year, stopped working out. However, that was about the plateau of where I went, but because it became convenience. It became, I needed to do what was easy to feed the kids. We ate a lot of takeout and a lot of pizza because I was working so many hours. So obviously a lot different now. You don't know what you don't know. And over 10 years ago, keto wasn't a thing.
Right.
So with that being said.
It was Dr. Atkins.
Yes, it was Dr. Atkins. So with that being said, my husband got injured, and after 17 years in the military, came home and they discharged him medically. So I have a veteran with PSTD that we got married immediately when he got home because he was my future husband at the time. And 5 months later, I got a call that my sister that I took custody of died in a car accident. So it was drunk driving accident. If you ever go to a Mothers Against Drunk Driving seminar, she's one of their cases. So, and that was the first time I went camping in probably 10 years and didn't have cell phone signal, and it happened overnight and I couldn't sleep. And with that being said, I don't travel anywhere without cell phone signal now. So she got killed in a car accident, and I was at a point where my world completely crashed. My husband did not receive anything from the military because he didn't qualify for retirement, and our savings was very small. So regardless of her dying, I was a one-income household, and I had no other choice but to still focus on being a mom and being present in my business and focus on income-generating activities to be able to still make that 6 figures and still be able to take care of my family. It was a very dark point in time for me. However, my why. And failure was not an option for me. I had to every single solitary day get up to be able to provide for my family. And even though I felt like a piece of me was gone, my mom's sister and my dad all died 9 years apart. I still had to do it. I refused to become a victim, and I feel like so many of us, and I'm sure there's many of you that are in the audience, you are going through something, but that victim mentality, I would not allow myself to have. So,
how did you prioritize? You obviously were left with a lot of obligations.
yes.
And it sounds like each time it was, I got to provide, because you didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm. So how did you prioritize the time and manage all that?
So I remembered my mother, and I always went back to that. My dad was the provider. However, when she decided to get her real estate license, he said it can't affect the household. So I would get up at 5 o'clock, make sure the kids' food was packed, dinner was prepped, and everything was prepared for the day, get them up, take them to daycare, and I had to be so highly effective during that time frame that from around 7:30 to about 5:30, 6 o'clock, I had to do all of my business. And in addition to my sister dying, my husband was dealing with a lot because he was on the front lines, and it was the worst tour he probably had. So I had to be all things to everybody in my entire household.
And how old were you at this time?
It was 2007, so I was 27. Mm-hmm. So I needed a change after my sister died. I was with a small brokerage, and I decided to join a large brokerage, Coldwell Banker. In 2008, I joined Coldwell Banker.
We were there at the same time.
Yes. It's amazing how our paths didn't cross until the last year. Right. So in 2008, I joined Coldwell Banker, and immediately the first year, I was in the top 10 in single agents in the company because they had an opening in their REO division, and that's how they got me, that carrot. Mm-hmm. So I had the investor background, and a lot of the investors I sold houses to were losing them. Now the hard money companies were coming and saying, can you sell the asset? So it just was an easy transition for me. The first year with Coldwell Banker, I did over 200 foreclosure transactions, and every year since, I've sold that many distressed assets. So the business, you guys know, during that time frame, there were so many foreclosures. Mm-hmm. For the next 5 years, I still was super hyper-focused in the family. My husband's mindset changed, so he became that super dad that really was highly involved in the kids and their life to allow me to really focus on the career. And, with REO, it was all timing and task and things like that. So in June of 2013, I'm a very focused and determined female, if you guys can't tell. So I wanted a third child. I wanted it with my current husband that I'm still crazy in love with, and I couldn't get pregnant. So I went to a fertility clinic, and the test, I'll never forget, I thought they said were going to tell us that we needed some type of in vitro or things like that, and they said that you have uterine cancer. So I had the same cancer my mom died from, so hers went to stage 3. I caught it in the beginning. It was that point in time that it was in June, and it took me, that was probably one of the darkest moments in a long time because it was year 8. So my parents all died 9 years apart, and I got diagnosed with the same cancer at year 8. So my first thought was, I'm going to die next year. I'm not ready. And what saved me getting in the right mindset is One of my Bank of America asset managers said, I need you to go check out this coaching program and tell me what you think about it. I went, never, ever went to any type of coaching. Everything that I did was self-taught. Changed my world. I walked out angry, upset at myself, my company, everything, because the leads that my REOs generated, they used to recruit agents to the office. And I decided at that moment in time I was going to take control of my business. So I went and took control of my business. I got a CRM, and I had people in my world already, and it was an easy transition for me. They helped me work the buyer leads, and I followed the coaching program to do what it takes to create an effective team. And I am a very systemized person, so I literally followed a step-by-step on what it took. Now I'll tell you, running a team is a big thing, and I took a pay cut. So, you know.
I know how that goes.
I took a pay cut, but I wanted to pour into people, and that was, I felt like the next step of my career and my transition. So.
Which is you did it for the right reason.
Yes.
And that's the mistake so many agents today make.
Yes.
And it's just natural to think, well, this is, these are the people up on stage. I should be doing that. That's the next level. And then you find a lot, good, bad, right, or wrong, that end up back being an agent again because
Correct.
the money isn't the same. And that's because most people do it for the wrong reason.
Yes.
Most people do it because they think that that's the next level income-wise.
And it's not.
That's not the purpose.
No, and not everyone should run a team. It is I learn every single day. We're on year 5. But I was selling hundreds of homes a year and did not know. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I didn't know what a CRM was.
By the way, one thing I heard in what you're saying, which I meant to stop you earlier and say it and point out, is you walked out of there frustrated, mad, because here you were proud of, I figured this out on my own, and I think that's a lot of events we go to. We see
Yes.
agents that are proud to say, I did this on my own, I figured it out on my own. And you're thinking, holy crap, what a huge blow to my ego, thinking that I'm pretty hot stuff for figuring it out on my own, when you realize that has been holding me back, that mentality.
And a switch flipped at that point in time. So I was diagnosed with cancer in June. I went to the coaching event and decided to take control of my business. Then I was also fighting cancer. So the goal was to have another child, and they wanted me to immediately get rid of the uterus. I was highly stubborn and did quite a bit of procedures that made me gain a lot of weight. Because my cancer is estrogen-based, they give you progesterone, and it made me gain a lot of weight. So in return, I was still selling a few hundred homes a year, learning to take control of my business, putting systems in place, getting a CRM, and trying to have another child. So when I gave up and said, okay, I'll have the surgery, I was pregnant. And then I had a miscarriage 5 weeks later. So I decided my health is the most important. I'm not going to let it escalate. I'm not going to lose my life like my mother. Scheduled the surgery. The day before I had to go in to, you go into a hospital for a consult. They said, you're pregnant again, and the baby has a heartbeat. It happened very quickly. And I have a 4-year-old baby boy. So he has been, I'm living proof that if you put your mind to something with the right support, you can do anything. So I had, his name's David, and As soon as he was born, my team officially launched 2 months after that. So the first year, we were the number 2 team in the country with Coldwell Banker on units sold. And every year, we have doubled in size, and it's been me stepping away, where I was over half the production, and now I'm about 1/8 of the production. So cancer came back. We thought it was gone. So I got rid of the evil uterus. I got to a point in my career with coaching comes just meeting amazing people and higher thinkers. And they say, you have to surround yourself with people that think to a higher level than you do. So my path was clear. In my mind, I wanted to grow a huge legacy for my family. And at that point in time, I had gained from where I am now about 125 pounds because of the cancer, and it still was on. And I was growing the business and so super focused.
Your priorities were changing.
My priorities changed. So it got to a point, though, that as soon as I walked into Moffitt Cancer and they said, you're going to have to come every 6 months to get checked up for cancer, or you need to lose a lot of weight. And a switch flipped in my head that I knew at that point in time, whatever they told me to do, I was going to do it. And in return, some of the growth struggles I had with my own personal business, and I knew I was outgrowing a certain circumstance, and I wanted to be part of a company that had really big thinkers that I could learn from, that I was no longer the only one in the room that people went to learn from. They said, you need to have gastric sleeve surgery. You've been on every diet. This is what we recommend. This is going to get you the healthiest, the quickest. And I told the doctor at that point in time, my relationship with food immediately went out the window, and it was no longer the most important thing. So I immediately said, okay, let's schedule it. So that same day, they wouldn't let me schedule it. They said, you need to go home and sleep on it. I met a friend for lunch, and I was talking about I operate at less than 40% of my potential. I needed to make the change in my career. I needed to make, for my team, for my family, I needed to make the health change. And those of you that know David Goggins, that's what he teaches is, we don't operate at 40% of what our capability is. I'm in Tampa, Florida, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, walked out in the parking lot. David Goggins is power walking through the parking lot straight at me. I wasn't sleeping, I promise. So it was that moment that I know I was there for the right reason at the right time, talking about the right things, and he was power walking through the parking lot. So we had a 30-minute session in the parking lot, a lot of tears, and those of you that know David, a lot of in my face, and it was that exact thing I needed to, I scheduled my surgery. I scheduled and went to an event in Bellingham, Washington, and that was a year ago. So I had immediately, when I came home, I had the surgery, and I'm down 110 pounds. I made a big, scary change and left a company I was comfortable at, and 32 of my agents came with me. We started in 2 market centers. We're in 10 right now. I'm growing local in our MLS system. And this has been the year for me to I stepped a little bit out of production to put the right tools and systems in place, because my why and my vision and how I wanted to create the legacy for my family was so important that you have to step back sometimes to step forward. And this has been a big year of growth and a big year of learning for me. thanks to my very good friend Dan Grebe, you know, I've cut expenses to the minimal you can, and I get up at 4:30 in the morning now, and I do at least 30 minutes of group exercise or some type of exertion, which has been a hard thing for me because exercise has always been that last thing. Because I'm so focused on work and my business. But I had to pour into myself and make myself the strongest I could be to get my family, my team, and my legacy to the next level. So,
because when you feel better, you perform better.
When you feel better, you perform better. So our team did. We had a great year, and I just super excited for what's to come. It's a very big shifting market, so we're changing and readapting a lot of our strategies, things that I did over 10 years ago, we're putting in place now. And, you know,
can you give us a couple, for instances, on that?
Sure. So the distressed market is huge. A lot of us do not tap into it. A lot of us don't even know what it is. So we are prospecting pre-foreclosures like you would expireds. It's the same thing, you know, as the expired approach. But it's, if they were offered the right price for their home, would they be willing to sell? A lot of you get a list, like we get a list, and you call the day one, but a foreclosure takes years to happen sometimes. So that's not where the money is. The money is in the foreclosures that were 2 years ago. So we're really focusing on a lot of pre-foreclosure distress, and if Home Partners of America is in your area, that has been a game changer for us and our new agents. We closed about 100 transactions this year with it, and it's basically getting renters qualified to rent a home, and there's no gimmicks, and you get paid a full commission. It's a straight up rental, but they have the option to buy, and renter leads are about $1.50 on Facebook. And we do a lot of Facebook Marketplace, a lot of free lead sources, and renters are easier conversations. So my goal with my team is teaching them to think different, to think that that renter that may call you that's $1,000 a month, have a conversation with them because they're going to eventually be a buyer someday. And so many of us blow those efforts off. But we realigned a lot of our online lead strategies, and in focus, we have several thousand leads that come in a month, and I'd say half of them are renters that my team converts into sales and converts into referrals. So, you know, just being open-minded.
And is that because a lot of them don't realize that they could
could
qualify to buy?
Yes.
Or they think they couldn't afford to buy?
And that's what our job is to know the first-time home buyer programs, to know the options, and really just take a few minutes to listen to them. And I feel like when we don't listen and we're so programmed, we miss so many opportunities. So, and that's what my focus is to really truly listen to my team, to listen to the way the market's changing, and really realign my efforts, because in the next few years, it's going to change drastically, and you know, our goal is to be ahead of that and to really, you know, realign our strategies. So, you know, for me, I'm home every night for dinner. I don't normally work on weekends, and I really focus in my family. I'm still in production. I did about 250 units this year, and I have leverage, and you know, I have a husband at home, and you know, I've gone through so much tragedy in my life, but for me, failure was never an option, and my why was so big, and I'm just blessed to be here. And you know, what I would tell you guys is, no matter what you're going through, you know, if you're a single agent, own being a single agent no matter what you're going through. You know, if you run a team, know that when you're influencing your team, you may be going through something, but if you don't find a way to get through it yourself, it's affecting them. So, really truly make sure that why and that goal is so big, no matter what you're going through. And, just focus on overcoming and staying strong as you can. And I'm living proof with the right coaching, with the right support, you can really overcome and get through absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So,
So fast forward to today.
yes.
What is your plan for 2019? Where do you want to spend your time? What are some things that are important to you about the next step of your life?
Great question. My fitness is to run a 5K with Dan Grebe. I'm starting small, not an Ironman, but to run a 5K before the end of the year. And my goal is to be in every market center in my MLS system to have 14 to 16 producing agents. Pour into my team and really focus on a big culture and helping them just maximize their potential. And coaching. I have decided to, with a lot of prayer and thought, I have decided to coach this year because I know that coaching is going to make me a better leader for my family and for my team and my business, and help me create a bigger legacy. So my goal is, just to really change lives and the things that I've gone through to help support others in my world that are going through and help them achieve their goals. And that's what excites me in a big way.
And how did you arrive at that decision?
I arrived at that decision. I really feel like everything I've been through is for a reason. And it brought me to this moment and everything I've gone through. And I feel that the things I've gone through, not one human being mostly has gone through all of it. And
in that short of a time.
In that short of a time, and it was for a reason, and it's really to help and impact others.
Yep.
So,
your team and the folks that work with you are super lucky to have someone that's been through that much, because normally we have to go through life day by day, year by year to gain wisdom.
Yeah.
And when we look at who we're aligning ourselves with, one of the decisions that agents should make is the wisdom of the leader.
yes.
And you've got years and years on competitors in your market because of going through all that.
Thank you.
So your team should be very fortunate that they're working with someone that has the level of wisdom that you have and provide. And
Thank
so
you, Jeff.
I'm not sure if any of them are here or not, but they need to know that, because that's not something that they're going to be able to get somewhere else.
Thank you.
So, and I recognize, one of the things that, when we started talking about what's next for you, your goals and your whys and what you're looking to accomplish, it was very fascinating with a lot of the phone calls that we had on the conversation always revolved around, it's time for me to give back. It's time for me to share with others and help others grow and accomplish the things that I had to get through. Hopefully they don't have to go through a lot of that to get there.
Yes.
But because you've gone through that, it's amazing the wisdom and knowledge that you can provide to someone and probably shave off 3 years, 5 years, 7 years of that learning curve.
Figuring it out the hard way, because I did it all.
Like you had to.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I think that that's an awesome next step, and
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
We should probably share with the group, you went through a process of deciding
I did.
who you were going to align yourself with, and I think it'd be good to hear how you did that.
So, being a coach for me is not something short-term, it's long-term. Those that, hearing my story, I hope you feel that I am fully focused and dedicated, and when my path is clear, it's not just today. It's down the road. So picking that choice was to be part of someone that I could learn from, as well as I believed in their systems and their processes, and allowed me to be able to coach people through the struggles that I've gone through, in addition to normal coaching. Because to me, there's transformational coaching, but you have to coach through the day-to-day. Because if you have a family member or you got cancer and you still have to pay your bills, you're going to need someone that's actually going to help and support you through those moments. So with a lot of prayer and a lot of research, I have chosen to be a coach for Jeff Glover. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you, and I look forward to us impacting a lot of people in a big way, and bringing more Florida people to Michigan, and
Yeah. Hey, it's going to be a lot easier once we go down there next January.
Exactly. I can't wait to do that circuit.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But I really look forward to meeting all of you. Feel free to connect on Facebook. Shoot me messages if you have any questions. And I'm sure my clients I've set time aside will fill up quickly. Yep. What I would tell you is I want people that want to make a difference and want to change their lives and really impact their families. And no matter what they're going through, know that I've been there. I've been that brand new single agent, learning how to be a single agent, to growing a team and looking at a P&L. So I'm excited to learn from Jeff, and I'm excited to be able to help each and every one of you.
Not only that, but obviously you're running a successful team with
Yes.
successful buyer's agents, showing
Yes.
agents, ISAs. I mean, you know one of the things that I think was attractive for both of us, and I should probably say, I have normally, or at least over the last year and a half or so, have been saying, all of our coaches are on the ground every day. They've been through our system,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of breaking the rules for you a little bit.
Well, I went through your system
you've
twice.
been through it. Yep. Yep.
I did my homework. He sent me the box like you guys get when you sign up, and I said I want to go through it because I want to feel that I can really wrap my head around what you teach. And I actually learned a lot from the system, and have already brought some of the things I learned to my team.
Which is amazing. When you're not around something on a regular basis, you recognize how much you don't know when
Correct.
you know a lot already.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're going to
Absolutely.
obviously continue learning as a client as well,
Yes.
which being a client of what we're teaching helps you to teach others.
Absolutely.
But the years of wisdom that we were just referring to, everything that you've been through, is a huge benefit to anyone that gets the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate you having up here. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the community.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff and Christina today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on reaching your why, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify, and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, failure is not an option.